Hello my lovelies! In today's video we have a little bit of a twofer. One, I'll be drawing my character from a new D&D 5th edition campaign with my friends, and two, I'll be chatting more about designing your character, especially when, if you're anything like me, you are completely overwhelmed by choices. Well, where do you start when designing a character for a campaign? There isn't one method in my experience. My best suggestion is to pick a single thing you're really interested in and build around that. If you're like one of my other friends and party members who is playing a warlock, you might simply want to try out a new class you haven't played before. Perhaps you want to fulfill a character archetype, such as a gruff veteran with a heart of gold, or a bubbly caregiver. Maybe you've gotten hooked on a piece of the setting's lore, and you want to craft your character around a plot hook or connection, something that ties you more tangibly to the story's theme and setting. Or maybe you just want to fill a niche and pick a character that will fill a need within the party, and not just a class need, such as a melee fighter in a party full of casters, though that is a problem. Sometimes the niche you might fill is a practical or a social one. I've played too many tabletop RPG games where too many players have created passive characters or everyone wants to be the comic relief. Having a person fill the role of proactive or level-headed player is honestly a godsend, as both a DM and a player who frequently doesn't get the opportunity to be goofier due to other players maybe going a little murder hobo, shall we say. So, what was my inspiration for my new friend taking shape on screen right now as we speak? Zephyr Capek. Or Capek, depending on who you ask. Good question. I decided I wanted to play a type of character I have never played before, which forced me to think about the sorts of things I tend to default to in tabletop RPGs. A bit of introspection, if you will. First, in terms of classes, I tend to default to melee classes. Even when I get access to a fun few spells, as most players eventually do, I've always been a sword-first kind of gal. From barbarians, eldritch knights, death domain clerics, and oath of glory paladins, I've played most classes who are renowned for burying something violent into a monster's skull. Secondly, the types of people I tend to play. While I might mix up from time to time, depending on the RPG system, I have two major defaults: big buff ladies and weird little guys. I am a very volatile sliding scale of a person who either wants to play the weirdest little eccentric you've ever met, or a big, gruff, huggable lady who can lift a horse. I honestly don't know what a therapist would make of that, but I do feel like I need a very niche "inside you there are two wolves" shirt made about my unusual dichotomy. So, what of Zephyr? In short, I've made her hyper-feminine. She is pampered, running away from responsibilities, vain, and somewhat hedonistic. Despite this, however, she is well-meaning, the kind of person to give someone a makeover whether they want one or not. If I had to summarise her, she's a mixture of ego, unsolicited advice, yet a keen ability to see the good qualities in other people. The type of person to say, "I'm perfect already, but that doesn't mean you can't be too." She's an air genasi, and I've leaned into this heavily, flavouring her appearance with fluffy floating clouds of perfectly brushed hair, and a light step we've used to hand-wave her use of kitten heels in any terrain or combat scenario. She does have a hidden practicality to her, however, including a leather armour corset covered in embroidered fabric and metal inserts into her heels. Her gathered skirts hide her hip bags and other pockets in a fun, cloud-like bustle which I thought would keep her thematic to her air genasi roots. It will surprise absolutely no one to hear, based on her appearance, that she is a bard. Specifically, College of Eloquence. She has a true gift of the gab, though she doesn't have that spell yet. And thanks to me getting a single great stat roll, I of course immediately put it into Charisma, meaning at level 3 she was actually incapable of rolling lower than a 19 on Deception or Persuasion. Believe it or not, I have very rarely played a Charisma caster, and certainly never the face, quote-unquote, of the party, or the charmer, if you will. I've piloted a number of NPC bards, but genuinely never had the chance to play a bard as a PC before, so this is very exciting for me. Something to keep in mind when you're designing your character is how long you're going to have to play them for. I've definitely seen people come up with the kinds of characters, for want of a better term, that belong in a one-shot. Your Kenkus and Gag characters who are really hilarious for 1 or 2 afternoons, but any more than that, it doesn't just tire out the players or the DM, it also tends to tire out the person playing them. You can even see shifts like this in things like Critical Role, where characters might start out a little more gimmicky at the beginning and even out as time goes on. That's perfectly natural, of course, but if you want to stay true to your roots, feel free to dial things up a little bit, but then don't be afraid to walk them back a little if you're going to run out of steam. Her spellcasting focus was something I actually put a great deal of thought into, as I wanted it to be small, subtle, maybe a little unique, and something I could flavour in a number of fun ways. In the end, I settled on finger symbols, which she can chime or rub together like a prayer bowl. So far, she has already tinged out the shatter spell like a sonic boom, and created rhythmic melodies while ritual casting by rubbing them together in a mana-infused hum. She has even chimed it far longer than seems possible, pressing it to objects like a tuning fork in order to cast Identify. I am, as you can imagine hearing that, having a lot of fun with this. My biggest concern with more cartoony art like this is ensuring I don't go too detailed. I found myself having to pull details back, keeping things chunky and geometric. I wanted her blouse to have a subtle sheen of iridescence, like it's made from a fine or expensive fabric, and so I made a concerted effort to keep the colours I blocked in solid and distinct. I'm going for that mixture of, as I said, chunky, but it's some realism. Thank goodness she knows prestidigitation, because all of that finery needs to be made clean and presentable, and also my artwork would completely go to waste. More than anything, be sure to design a character you can stand playing for a long time, as I said. One who lets you have fun and explore a different side to yourself. Zephyr has now seen a few sessions while I've finished her art and gotten this video up, and I'm having so much fun with her. I keep saying out loud, I'm not used to having spell slots. A fellow friend and party member has labelled her Glinda-coded, and you know what? I do not disagree. All 3 of our party have one funny thing in common we did not plan on, being they all have white/grey silvery hair, making us a true band of silver foxes. I'm sure Zephyr, in her own fanciful way, truly appreciates that the fates have conspired to have everyone colour coordinate in such a befitting manner. And there you go, folks, just a fun, quick little video. I kind of want to maybe branch out in terms of creative content to also design and talking about maybe principles of things, stuff like tabletop RPGs, which are a great love of mine. And this was me kind of dipping my toes into the water a little bit, so I would love to hear your feedback. The beautiful people that you can see on the screen right now are my Patreon supporters, who are a true band of silver foxes. They get exclusive Golden Bone content, as well as access to high quality images from all of my videos and a secret part of my Discord. If you feel like joining them, the link is in the description below. And thinking of joining people, even if you can't quite afford Patreon right now, my Discord obviously is open to everyone, so stop on by and come and say hello. What are your thoughts on Zephyr here? Are any of you guys playing in any tabletop role-playing games at the minute? I would love to hear it. I'm always up for a new game that I will buy the book of and then take 2 years to actually play. And if we're getting introspective, do any of you guys have a archetype or class that you, if you're being honest, haven't played yet? One that maybe you're interested in? I'd love to hear it. I genuinely can't stop talking about tabletop RPGs. And you know what? I probably should stop, so yes, let me know your thoughts if you have the time. And speaking of time, as always, my dear friends, I will see you next time.